Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our new Dexter Resurrection theory video. We love getting excited for this show. It's premiering on July 11th. We've been talking about some new adversaries that
Mhm.
Dexter is facing off against, and this time around, we're talking about Neil Patrick Harris, which excites me very, very much.
Yeah, he's such a great actor. This was such a boon for the show to get.
I have loved NPH for a very, very long time. I mean, yeah, series finale aside, that's the one thing How I Met Your Mother and the original Dexter have in common. Both had terrible endings, but I loved How I Met Your Mother. I enjoyed Dr. Horrible when it was on. I loved
Yep.
him on Doctor Who. It's just, ironically, Neil Patrick Harris has just either played a lot of doctors or appeared in shows that have doctor in the title. And once again, like Doogie Howser, he's playing a doctor here, an anesthesiologist to be
Mhm.
specific, named Lowell. Probably not as good a person as Doogie Howser. I'm going to throw that out there.
Probably not, since his moniker is the tattoo collector. So it feels a lot like he's going to be scraping off people's tattoos, and that's going to be sort of his own blood slides.
Yeah, I'm glad that Dexter and USA Today, they sort of put out a lot of these baddie nicknames or
Yeah.
monikers leading into it. Because, yeah, there's a part of this that does harken back to the original Dexter where we had the ice truck killer and all of that. It
Right.
also does remind me a little bit of The Blacklist, where every episode of The Blacklist was, of course, about some different bad guy with a ridiculous name. And I'm just so eager to see what Neil ends up bringing to the table here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in this video, we've got a lot of theories about what's
Hmm.
going on with Lowell, some big mysteries that could tie into the original show, and a whole lot more. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, yes, we are going to be here with Dexter Resurrection reviews, previews, theories, all sorts of good stuff all season long. And subscribing is the #1 way to make sure you do not miss any of that.
Absolutely. We're going to have videos 3 times a week during the season. So hit that subscribe button. It really helps us
Yes.
here at the channel. Over on our Patreon right now, we're covering Criminal Minds and Murderbot. And coming up, we're going to be covering Countdown as
Yeah.
well over on Prime Video. There's a lot of exclusive content going on over on our Patreon right now. And it's another really great way to be able to help us here at the channel. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. We do very, very much appreciate
Yeah.
that. Okay, so just a couple of fun facts here as we kind of dive further into Lowell, aka the tattoo collector. Like Jess already set up a little bit what exactly might be doing. He's clearly going after people with tattoos. It's just like I have a lot of questions when it comes to like how is he getting away with this? Is he just taking out people when they're under anesthesia and then they just don't wake up and it's just like it was an accident or is there something deeper here?
Yeah, we've kind of seen this before. Even with Dexter's first kill with the nurse that was like,
Yeah.
taking people out, almost took out Harry. I think there's a lot of connections here with this character that's going to like trigger a lot for Dexter.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to see, like, okay, is that even then going to be the point that somebody wants Dexter to kind of be like going back into his past in some way? Because what's been kind of interesting about the way Resurrection has been set up is that, okay, we've got Leon, Peter Dinklage's character, and
Mhm.
Charlie, who
Mhm.
Uma Thurman is playing, and it seems like they're the ones responsible for rounding up all of these killers and bringing them together. There's no guarantee that Lowell as a person is from New York City where the show is set. He might be from somewhere else. He's being brought there. Are they all just being brought there on the merit of, I don't want to call it their, strength because they're killing people, but because they're good at what they do? Or is it because like they're trying to get something specific out of Dexter?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? All of us kind of looking at the general picture, it feels like Leon's just interested in collecting serial killers. He's a
Yes.
billionaire with money to blow. What are you gonna buy? Something really eccentric like killers, right? Like that's kind of feels like the setup. But the idea that he's picking certain killers and we'll get into more of them as we do more videos like this, that might actually have connections to Dexter. I mean, we talked about this in our Charlie video. If you haven't checked that out, you should. Where, you know, she's special ops. Dokes was special ops. Like, do they have a connection? They could have more connections. And there's quite a few possible connections here with the tattoo collector as well.
I think one of the things I'm curious about, just from an actor perspective, before we even talk too much about the characters, is just that there's a lot of really interesting connections with Michael C. Hall and Neil Patrick Harris. I don't know if this led to Neil ending up doing this show. I mean, he's obviously a very big New York guy. I think that probably helped with him signing on. I mean, both him and Michael have starred in Hedwig, so they both have like a Broadway connection. They're both very good at doing dramatic stuff, but also doing really, really funny stuff. I don't know how much screen time they're gonna have together, because it seems like Charlie and Leon, like, they're regulars. They're gonna be around all season. It feels like Lowell, he's maybe gonna be in a portion of the season. I would be surprised if he's in more than like 7 or 8 episodes. So it's like, what can you do in the amount of time you have him?
Okay, let's get into the theories. Tinfoil hats, everybody.
All
Let's
right,
get
let's do
into
it.
the first one. So we know that the actor that played the original Brian is going to be coming back to this series. We know that he's dead, so he's probably going to be coming back in some sort of whatever flashback or ghost or something
Yeah.
along those lines. However, so during the time that Brian Moser met up again, he got out of the institution. He's probably about 21 years old. He met up with Dexter in Original Sin, where Dexter's like 20 years old or whatever. Like, there's like a 15-year period from when Brian sees him then and then actually reconnects with Dexter in the original series, where he's a full-on adult and he's not actually just an intern anymore. He's full-on working for Miami Metro. There's a long period of time. I've always felt like while Brian took on the identity of Rudy, this doctor, he also had to have had some sort of medical training, whether he interned somewhere or he actually got medical training. He is taking on the personality of a specialist. So not just a GP where you can kind of be like, oh, you got a cough, here's an antibiotic, let me write a script. It's not like that. He is a specialist in prosthetics. So for him to actually be able to pull that off, where he is working in the hospital with everybody believes it, he's taking on clients, he has to actually be knowledgeable in this in some sort of way. And to me, then, I'm thinking, I know that the medical profession is pretty big, but at the same time, I mean, medical professionals connect with other medical professionals all the time across the country, across the world. So if we have the tattoo collector who is in the medical field as well, and Brian also in the medical field as well, it is more than possible that these two paths have crossed.
I would be surprised in some ways if they haven't crossed, even if it's just a brief interaction, because it just feels, to me anyway, with Clyde Phillips coming back as Resurrection, and as many of you may know, he did the first 4 seasons of Dexter, which is why you might see a lot of references to those seasons. I don't know if you're going to see a lot to the seasons he wasn't a part of, but I feel like
Lumen.
I know Lumen. I know there's a lot of Hannah fans out there. It just feels like a lot of those things are going to get kind of swept under the rug a little bit. But Brian Moser is iconic. Like, season 1 of Dexter is outstanding. And so, this idea of, can we find a way to connect these characters where maybe one was a mentor, maybe there was some inspiration with each other. It just feels like it's a perfect opportunity for Clyde to sort of cook a little bit and give people more nostalgia. And I understand some people might be like, oh, it's too coincidental or whatever. I don't care, because it's just like we're watching a show where Dexter got brought back from the dead when he should just be gone already, based on how things went down on New Blood. I can forgive a lot of that. And plus, we always hear about these conventions that are in like Hawaii or Las Vegas or some other really, really rich person place where the doctors all go and they like brag about how cool they are to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just feels like there's a good chance of that.
Okay, so there's a lot of photos of Michael and Neil together, and they look very, very similar.
Yes.
So there's a couple other theories that are going on right now. One is that the tattoo collector is going to be like a copycat of the Bay Harbor Butcher. I'm not sure that I buy into this theory, since at the moment that we're kind of in this, people think that Dokes is the Bay Harbor Butcher. So the fact that Neil Patrick Harris and, Michael look the same, I just don't think that really the connection would really be there with them looking similar, since Neil doesn't look like Dokes. So, but because there's the taking of the tattoos, sort of the same idea of taking the blood and the blood slides, that's sort of where the connection is also coming with, besides the fact that these two actors look the same. But these two trophy taking, things, they're not the same. They're similar, but at the same point, a lot of killers take trophies. It's across the board.
Yeah, it's not that, it's just not that special. The thing about them looking the same, I think some of it, they just put Neil, I don't know if he grew his hair out or if they just put him in some wig. It does look a little
like a wig.
It looks like a wig that kind of resembles what Dexter had for, I don't know, a certain portion of the earlier part of the show.
When they were like, we need him to be a teenager, let's throw a wig on him.
Yeah, it's going down the road.
It's so funny.
It all reminds me of season 1 of The Blacklist, where they stuck Megan Boone in this ridiculous wig for the full season, and you could just see in season 2 how relieved she was that she grew her hair out. She just didn't have to wear that anymore. Yeah. No, I understand that there are people talking about the similarities. Like, from that vantage point, I get it.
Okay, so let's talk about the similarities again, because there is also people that are talking about the idea that the tattoo collector is a long lost half brother, that this is another child of Joe Driscoll. But for me, I am not interested in that storyline at all, because if this is the case, and that means that Joe is really sort of like bad genes, sending out serial killers. He's making serial killers, and that's all genetic. And that just takes away all the Dexter lore. They undo 15 years of Dexter, which is that the two brothers were born in blood, that they were okay.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in Original Sin. They were okay until this happened, that they were in this container and they watched what happened to their mom, and they were born in blood. If you all of a sudden have like, oh, here's Neil Patrick Harris, he was also a son of Joe, and he's also happens to be a killer, then it's like, okay, well, he wasn't born in blood. He was just born of Joe. And so were these other two. So let's undo all the Dexter lore. I don't like this at all. I'm not interested.
Okay. I'm going to make a bizarre analogy here, because I am a longtime Scooby-Doo fan who is probably irrationally excited for whatever they're developing at Netflix at this point. But anyway, there was this cartoon that came out called The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo that I saw when I was a kid. And what it basically was kind of an augmentation of the original premise, where they weren't just like, bad guys in a ghost mask anymore, where there was like this treasure chest that was opened and all these real ghosts came out of it and they had to put them all back in. This feels silly and just like unexciting in the same way that was, where it's like, I don't want to watch Scooby-Doo do this. I don't want to watch like a fundamental change where we have the 13 sons of Joe Driscoll and there's just all these different people running. It's too much of a deviation from what the original show is. It completely changes the canon in a way that I'm very not thrilled about. And I don't want to be like sitting up here and being like, everything must be canon all the time. But it's just like, I think that's way too far of a stretch, and it's just not needed.
No, and it takes away the richness of Dexter and Brian, which really was the beginning of the road for these two brothers and these two men to where they ended up. I mean, it really shaped Dexter. It really shaped Brian, what happened to their mother. If it's just like, bad genetics, it's like, okay, you guys like took away all this beautiful, rich, intriguing, fascinating story to just be like, bad genetics, here's another brother. I don't need another brother. I don't need it to be Dexter just has like a whole army of brothers out there and everybody's a killer. Like, the connection with Brian was so well done that this would feel cheap.
Yeah, and here's the biggest reason why I don't think they're going in this particular road. It's just that if they were doing that twist, I feel like Neil would have to be the big bad of this season, and that like this whole season would revolve around it. The idea that he's just sort of like a recurring adversary, and then you're gonna shoehorn that, oh, he's a half brother into that, while also still being like, oh, but you really need to focus on Peter Dinklage. It's like, nobody's gonna do that if you deliver that twist. Like, everybody's just gonna be focused on him instead. And I know that they have said that they brought in some of these people, Neil Patrick, like some of the other actors are going to be getting into an upcoming video so that they might be big bads in future seasons. Like, that's all well and good, but you can't just introduce Lowell, say that he is a half brother of Dexter, and then be like, oh, we're gonna just deal with that in season 3 of Resurrection. It's just like, nobody's gonna react well to that. I just don't think they're going this route at all.
Yeah, like I know Dexter doesn't really have any family anymore at
Yeah.
this point, but at this is just a stretch too far. This is like, for me, Deb is in love with Dexter. That whole storyline was easily some of the worst stuff that they've done on what is an incredible show.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that they're not just like, oh, well, we need to shoehorn in some more family or some undiscovered family sort of thing of this guy that he doesn't know at all, that doesn't know him at all, but here's another brother. It's like, you guys already did this story. This story already happened.
I'm just gonna hope that maybe this wig is just a way for him to like have a different identity in public versus private, and that nobody
Yeah.
can really get a sense of what exactly it is that Lowell really looks like. Like, there's all sorts of other reasons why they can come up with this. Like, maybe he's been told to look like Dexter to get into his head. It's just like there's a lot of different possibilities without going full half brother here.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think that the show, like, even without the wig, these two men look similar.
Yeah.
I think the show is just like, we have a chance to get Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
We would like to get Neil Patrick Harris. Let's just get him to sign. We don't really care that they look alike.
Yeah.
People are going to have fun with theories. There are no wrong theories at this
No.
point. You know, it's here time to, like, you know, just dive into them and see what could be, what we like, what we don't like. Leave it in the comments for us. Are you interested in seeing another Dexter brother?
Like, I think you just touched on it exactly. It's just this idea that this show has had 2 very polarizing endings in a row here.
Yes.
And I think they're feeling like, if we're gonna make this a multi-season thing, which if they very much are planning on it, we need to get people really excited. And I think they also want to get people on board this franchise who have not been already. And if you look at like a lot of the people that they've cast, whether it is Peter, Neil Patrick, we'll talk more about Kristen Ritter. It's just all of these people have history as a part of either long-running shows or iconic shows, and they're all going to be coming in with their own fan bases. I think that in itself is just extremely important for them.
Yeah, this is like an all-star studded cast, which
Yeah.
is pretty surprising. I mean, with this show, if you look back to just the original series, it's like, okay, we're going to bring in, you know, a John Lithgow, you know, Jimmy Smith, something like that, but it's not like 20 famous people all at once.
I'm just excited for this because it might be a character who's relatively similar in age than Dexter. Then maybe this is someone he thinks could be a friend in a way similar to what happened with Miguel Prado, only to then realize that, okay, this guy's a Mo. Not about that life. I'm still trying to have some element of a code. I mean, Harry's back for a reason, right? Like, the code still has to matter to some extent.
I'm just curious to see if Dexter is going to end up having a problem with him because of his past and his very first kill with Mary, that this, now you've got this anesthesiologist that's killing people, that he's going to be really triggered by this, and that maybe him and the tattoo collector are going to have problems.
I think it's a good read, and I think that's something they really, really need to do. Like, that idea makes me really, really hyped. Just like one of my favorite Neil Patrick Harris memories on How I Met Your Mother, it's a very stupid thing that probably 5 people, including me, remember, is he had this mixtape that was like the Get Hyped mixtape or whatever. It was literally him just playing You Give Love a Bad Name by John Bon Jovi over and over and over again. And
I feel like that would be your mix.
it would be. I felt seen by Barney in that moment. It's just like, this is why, though. I love Neil Patrick. I'm really, really excited to see exactly what he's going to do here.
Me too.
But let's hand this over to you guys. What are your theories about the tattoo collector on Dexter Resurrection? Share in the comments. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything else, and you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description, and as Jess said, we've got a lot of exclusive content right now. Criminal Minds, Murderbot, Countdown with Jensen Ackles is on the way. Thank
Mhm.
you so much. We will see you here next time.